All right. A little tardy to the party, but we're here.
We
Only by
live.
only by a few seconds.
This was just a few.
Yes. This is episode 17. And as always, I'm Jake with Longleaf Reptilia.
I'm Sky of Hail the Scales. This is Flippin Tin. That timing was a little bit better.
A little bit, a little bit.
Keeping it Florida today, people. We're hitting them with the donkey.
Keeping
Wee
it
snaw.
Well, today we've got we had a little bit of a rocky start. To not start to the episode, but prior to the episode, we had somebody lined up for a couple weeks. They ended up having to cancel. Then we had somebody else lined up until they got super sick and canceled last minute. So it's been a little hectic, but we managed to get an awesome guest here, thanks to a buddy of ours who will be joining us tonight as kind of a we'll have him as like a guest co-host for the next 3 episodes now. So he's going to be with us for today and the next 2. Just kind of helping us out with
He's
these
gonna
with
be
some
our
questions.
liaison through
That
these next 3
liaison.
episodes with
Yes, yes.
these high-end guests that we are trying to bring to you guys, give you some awesome content. I'm stoked for tonight. I can't wait to hear some of the stuff we're about to hear. So
Yeah, tonight's going to be absolutely fantastic. We cannot thank our guest enough for coming on last minute. And I'm getting pictures right now, so let me go ahead and pull some of or get these ready. So, because my phone's got to sync with my laptop here, we should be
we
good
gotta
to go.
have a little bit of syncage.
A little bit of syncage.
How's everybody doing? Who we got in the comments? We got a couple friends and fellows out there. We got James Perry. How you doing? We got Robert. How you doing, fella? Mr. Jack Oliver. That's a one sexy Oliver. We got old King Baboon in the building. Got to watch out for that baboon. He'll get your cheeks. No warning. You got to watch him. Mr. Lister, that boy, he's a hunter, all right. His daddy named him Hunter for a reason. That boy's he's a tracker. He's a damn coon dog. He's out there in the woods sniffing everything out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Hunter's been getting after it, man.
We got freaking Chris. I always forget who's West Kentucky Exotics. I always forget the name.
What's Dustin?
Dustin. Yep, Black. My boy, big boy. Him and Keller locking up like rhinos at Daytona will be forever burned into my memory.
That was golden.
Thank you guys for being in the chat. We got a pretty sick guest to bring you guys tonight. Should be some fun info.
Yes, I'm trying to get pictures pulled up on my laptop, but for some reason.
And Devin is in the building, Mr. Frazee.
Devin's always getting after it, man. Unfortunately, Devin, we did get your ride in, but like we said in the beginning, we're not going to ever ride in this episode.
This episode, guys.
Yes, so we're at the next couple. We're probably going to take a break on those, let some build up, and we'll get after it. We'll get back to our normal thing after that. Excuse me. But yeah, Sky, any updates on your end, man?
Dude, other than, if all my Florida folk know, or I'm sure if you've watched the news or anything, you know that we just got hit by a massive hurricane, record-breaking hurricane. What of a time. Heck of a time. My city is actually going through it today. We actually just reached peak river height, 20 feet. Yeah, 20 feet over flood height.
Wow.
We have water in the city right now that's never been in spots. There's roads closed off. There's flooding everywhere. There's people losing houses, people losing everything. It is absolutely insane how much damage that this storm has brought. Animal displacement off the charts. I have never seen so much roadkill in the last 2 weeks. It is freaking insane from both hurricanes. So that sucks. Herping has been an absolute bust. Haven't seen anything. Also
Really?
had limited time. I figured I would have seen snakes everywhere. Haven't seen any snakes, nothing, dude. It's been weird. And we also went straight from boiling hot to it's now cold today. So
oh, dude, it was 45 degrees here this morning.
Yeah, Nisar, we also mentioned how Jake loves to match his cap to his beard. The The carpet
Wait,
matches the drapes, my friend.
somebody said, who said that? I was looking at pictures.
Your boy
Why
knees are
y'all doing
all
that?
your
Why
boy
y'all
knees
doing
all
that?
down there.
Why are you doing me like that behind my back? I don't
Have you been out herping, my friend?
I have
What's up?
not since Jack and Gabe were down here, and when me and Smitty, them and Smitty went out. It's just been cold. It's like most mornings are in the 50s. Granted, the daytimes have gone up a good bit. I just haven't had time, man.
Hey, Jason, nobody cares how cold it was because I was still warm at your mom's house this morning.
Oh my god, this episode's already getting rowdy.
Sorry, it's Keller. I you
You
can't hold back.
can't help it with
He
Kelly.
comes from my mom.
What else? What else? What else? Anything else new on your end? Anything else
Dude,
going on?
nothing. Just been trying to keep these Barons rolling. Trying to keep the. If you guys have checked out Peach Throat Passion, been just working with these silver peach throats. You guys should follow along. Mike's Monitor's got a couple of them. A couple of their homies have some. Stay tuned for what's coming with those. We're going to do some studies, maybe some DNA testing on those, see what's really going on with them. But exciting stuff. So stay tuned in with that on the Peach Throat Passion page if you aren't already.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Other than that, dude, just dealing with life, dealing with this storm aftermath. Went 3.5
How
days
did
without power.
have you are you all sorted from that? Do you have any problems?
Basically,
Are you all
a
good?
little bit of, excuse me, had some flooding in the house. Other than just some trees and stuff going down. Your screen sharing right now. I don't know if you know or
Yes.
not.
I had to add it. I'm all discombobulated. I'm sorry.
Discombobulation.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, man, just some minor damage. Totally can't complain. Like I said, I know people that have lost their house and
Yeah.
everything they have right now, so I am not complaining one bit. I have power right now.
Absolutely. Well, that's about as good as you can ask for. Well, I guess we'll go ahead and jump into this and introduce our guests. So as I mentioned earlier, we have a uh, a walk-in co-host with us, and we'll go ahead and bring him on real quick, and that is Mr. Gabe Schuler.
The Schuler man.
All right.
So Gabe's gonna be. You all know and love Gabe. He was at Daytona with us. He was one of our original guests on Flippin Tin. He's going to be co-hosting with us for the next few episodes, as long as we don't have cancellations again, because it's kind of he's the reason why we have these following guests on our show. So we figured it's only welcoming that he comes on and co-hosts this. And yeah, Hunter said, what a legend, dude.
Thank you guys.
Yeah, man, we're glad to have you. Thank you for helping us set all these up. We have some heaters lined up, and today we are starting with the one and the only Mr. Sean Mannion. How you doing, Mr.
Sir.
Sean?
How you doing, Sean?
Good. How are you guys?
Good.
We're doing oh yeah.
There's that backwards.
We've already agreed we're going backwards
I'm
caps
trying
with
to get
Sean.
a little lighter in here so you can actually see.
As you can tell, we only bring on the coolest of herpers. As Sean already gets the vibe, he already knows we go backwards cap.
He already knows what's up, man. That's right.
Well, I got the age on you guys a little bit. I'm like a semi-retired conservation biologist. That's what I was doing for the last long while.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Sounds like a dream job.
Oh, it was. It's always been. I mean, if you're in the field of biology in any way, shape, or form, you can never get bored because there is so much to learn. You could have 5 lifetimes and still be learning a ton.
Yeah, you'll never learn it all.
So many people. If it's your passion and your mission in life, you're a lucky guy. A lucky person if you have something, like being a naturalist, biologist, ecologist, conservation biologist, or just you're interested in wildlife. I mean, there's nothing better than that in the world because constant learning.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I think all of us can attest to that. Unfortunately, me and Sky don't, our full-time jobs are in conservation. I have a degree in wildlife management, but that's why we do this podcast. That's why we herp whenever we can. That's why we keep reptiles, because it's our passion. We want to do it every day. Gabe down here, a guy, it works as a naturalist full-time, so at least he's got that going for him.
Yeah, well, it never. Most of these jobs don't pay a heck of a lot, so a lot of my friends over the years have had all sorts of different jobs, but their passion is, say, fisheries or reptiles or whatever, and they do that all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
That's why you guys aren't poor like me.
oh, I'm still poor. I'm still poor.
You see, the way my savings and my checking account works, it's they're both empty. So you can try to rob me any day of the week if you want.
You have a
to.
savings account, Sky?
What's a savings account?
I don't know if you can call it that if it's empty, but yeah, there's an account at the bank that's registered in my name. There's just no money in it. Real quick note, happy birthday to Harry Claiborne. He just entered the chat. Happy birthday, brother.
Larry.
Yes, Harry's a freaking legend. Also a former guest on the show. Happy birthday, Harry. He's also a dad. So a new dad, I should say. That was a weird thing just to add in there, but he is a new dad.
Yeah.
So congrats on everything you've been going on, Harry. We love you, buddy. So I mean, getting into this to start, Sean, can you just give us kind of a background on how this all got started for you? You know, where you went to school, how it started. You can give us the long version, the short version, however, wherever you want to start, and how you got to where you are now.
I suppose the long version would be a little boring, so I'll do the short version.
I don't know. It doesn't sound like it would be, but you're
talking to a bunch of reptile geeks. I think we'd all love to hear it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's funny. The way a lot of us start off is the way everyone starts off. It seems so similar. I mean, my parents, when I was a tiny kid, they started reading me books about wildlife. And I even remember the book that got me crazed about reptiles. They read me a book when I was a little kid called Slim Green, the Green Snake. And so ever since I was 4 or 5, I think I found my first California king snake when I was 5. And and then got bitten by my first alligator lizard at 5. And I remember crying in the car.
Yeah. I'll be honest, Sean, it sounds like we had a similar childhood, because at 4 and 5, I was catching California king snakes and getting bit by alligator lizards too. And I actually have one single California king snake in my collection, purely as a nostalgia animal to remind me of my childhood. So I think that's super awesome that we share that experience.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Where did you find your first Cal King?
The first one I found was near Paso Robles, California, out in the Paso Mountains and stuff. I had grandparents out there. So anytime I was down there with my grandpa, he's a old school reptile guy. So I would be in the back seat. Snake, Grandpa. He'd be pulling over. We'd be catching gopher snakes 6-7 foot long, and then we'd be catching any king snake and alligator lizard there was. So I'm sure we had a similar upbringing in childhood. It sounds like, catching the similar reptiles.
Yeah, I think so. I've got a quick little snippet on what not to do as a young kid with reptiles here. When I was 11, I caught my first rattlesnake, a Southern Pacific. And it was really a big guy. And I remember I grabbed him behind the head and
when you were 11?
Yeah, and I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever done. And I thought, I'm going to bring him home. So I walked about a mile home from the local mountains and put it in the backyard and went in to tell my mom. And I said, Mom, the greatest things happened to me today. You're not going to believe it. And she comes out in the backyard, and it's the only time I ever saw my mom totally lose it. She completely freaked out. But so I don't advise any. I don't even. I handle them with tongs now. So because man, it is not smart to handle them because you don't want to get bit. In fact, there's a little girl that was just bit about a month ago up around the Phoenix, Arizona area, and she's fine, but she needed, I think the newscast said 40 vials of antivenom.
Oh, wow.
And it cost the family about $50,000. And health insurance, our wonderful health insurance system, does not cover antivenom, apparently.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's a bit of a cautionary tale. Just, don't handle rattlesnakes as foolishly as I used to.
I don't know if Jake's face lit up when you were telling that story just because it was crazy that you were holding that snake at that age, but I know Jake's heard me say it time and time again. Our stories are just lining up more and more because when I was a child at 4 or 5 years old, I caught a Southern Pacific rattlesnake and brought it inside and had it as a pet. And my mom and grandma didn't know at first because it was so young. It just had a button. And my dad and grandpa got home and they that's the first time I've ever seen my dad and grandpa absolutely lose their minds because they were like, "Are you bit?" I remember they stripped me down naked and checked my whole body for any sort of bite wounds or anything. They're like, my grandma's like, "He's been playing with that thing for 3 hours. We don't know if he's been bitten." Or like, "I don't know." So, man, it sounds like I'm following in the footsteps of a legend right now. I'm glad. This is cool.
Well, we definitely, obviously, have very similar backgrounds, and so I went from kind of a crazed 5-year-old with reptiles to, I just kept at it. I was really lucky. I grew up right at the base of the Santa Monica Mountains, so literally, I walked, 10 minutes up the street were the mountains, and so I was hiking up there with friends, all the time. So I got a good dose of wildlife every day or any day I wanted to. And then I ended up, I went to, again, I don't know why my parents did this. Parents don't do this anymore. They lent me one of their cars for 2 weeks when I was 16. And my friend and I went to Arizona for 2.5 weeks. So it was the first time I ever came here to Arizona, and I knew immediately this is where I wanted to go to school. So I ended up at University of Arizona and just fell in love with, of course, the Sonoran Desert and all what they now call the Sky Islands in southern Arizona. Which is a whole interesting thing that I might be able to talk about a little later. But so then I worked for a while for the Nature Conservancy and Arizona Game and Fish. They had a natural areas program. And again, I got lucky. They, with a job, they sent me all over southern Arizona to the various mountain ranges to look for the 3 montane rattlesnake species, the Crotalus willardi, pricei, and lepidus. And so that was obviously a perfect job because they'd say to me, you got to go up Ramsey Canyon and stay at the researcher's cabin for a week and look for these snakes. And I thought, okay, dream job. Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, exactly.
Sign me up for a lifetime, man. Shoot.
Hey, listen, I look for rattlesnakes for free, but to get paid, shoot.
I know that's at the time I was in my, I guess I was in my early to mid 20s, and yeah, it was a fantastic job. And then after a while, I decided to get a master's degree, so I ended up back in Southern California at Cal State Northridge and UCLA, and then as a conservation biologist, I actually was doing more fisheries work and watershed and biodiversity issues and connectivity of habitat issues than a lot of reptile stuff. But I recently got back here about 4 years ago to Southern Arizona, and now I'm kind of footloose and fancy free, and I can go where I want when I want. And so I'm out there night hiking, with headlamps, and that's fantastic.
Heck yeah, man.
So
That's what it's all about.
you guys have all probably done that stuff.
Oh yeah, that's what it's all about. We try to get out and do that as much as we possibly
Jake
can.
loves night hiking for southern toads.
Don't bring that up. Don't bring that up.
Don't bring that up.
He's making a joke at me because we went on a hike looking for toads, and they were everywhere, and I proceeded to accidentally step on one, and I was very upset by doing that.
I personally can't one up you, but a friend of mine, oh man, I can't believe this happened, but years ago when I was in my 20s, we're all looking for, super rare snakes, and this one friend of mine who I will not name, who's a great herpetologist actually, he was looking for green rat snakes, and the first one he ever found, he ran it over.
So I actually have a story very similar to that, except more of a southeastern version. Is while I was in college over in Georgetown, South Carolina, I was out road cruising, and I was new to the area, hadn't really seen much, but one of my dream snakes to find was a mud snake.
Oh yeah.
And I was road cruising, and out of nowhere, I saw this little itty bitty snake in the road, and I swerved out of the way, or at least I tried to. I got out, and it was my lifer mud snake, little itty bitty baby, and I absolutely crushed it. And so that was just grand. Super.
Well, I have come close, but luckily I have not done that. But just about a month ago, actually, I was on a dirt road, and I saw an absolutely, he had just been born, obviously, as a little tiny juvenile Crotalus molossus, black-tailed rattlesnake. Just a real little guy, and I just saw him in time. But it's you got to be careful especially when you're road cruising.
Oh yeah, that's luckily it hasn't happened often. I'm usually pretty good about not hitting snakes, but yeah, I've
That's
about ran.
a good thing.
Oh yeah, I've almost, especially Sky, because me and Sky road cruise together a lot. Boy, we about ran off the road into a ditch trying to make sure we don't hit something.
I years ago I've almost gone off a small cliff to miss hitting just a basic Scaloporus lizard.
Oh man, yeah.
Every life matters, man.
Yeah, they all matter,
exactly.
Hey,
all lives matter. Yeah.
I see that Jack asked if you've ever seen any mountain lions or jaguars out there.
I was literally going to bring that up because I wanted to ask the same thing after you brought up the Sky Islands, and I remember Gabe saying you did some cat work. I wanted to know if you've seen any of those jaguars out there.
Well, that's it. For a while, when I was in California, I was working for the Mountain Lion Foundation a little bit, and I've only seen a few lions out in the wild. But I did see one in one of the Sky Islands a number of years ago. I was hiking way up in I guess it doesn't really matter if I say what mountain range it was, right? Just for
I don't see why not. I mean, it's a whole mountain range.
Yeah, I was in the actually one of my favorite ranges, the Huachucas, and I was way up there, and it was a summer monsoon, and I thought, I got to get out of the rain. So I went into a small cave, and I'm sitting there, and it smells kind of like cat in there. And about 20 minutes later, all of a sudden, this beautiful adult mountain lion walks by and looks in the cave and sees me, and then just, takes off because, they're not dangerous. They're strong. They can do whatever they want. They can take down white-tailed deer or mule deer, but humans are basically not on the menu for mountain lions. But what's interesting is just recently, literally just a few weeks ago, Game and Fish got camera footage of an ocelot in one of the mountain ranges about 10 miles or less than 10 miles away from where I live.
Sean, you got to go look for that ocelot now.
Oh, well, I was out there a couple times last week, but it's one ocelot in the mountain range. But that actually brings up a really good question, which is, you know, every so often, and they have just this last year gotten camera footage of another jaguar in 2 different ranges around here. And people need to get really serious about reintroducing ocelot and jaguar back into southern Arizona, because jaguars originally, historically, ranged at least up to the Grand Canyon, and there's plenty of viable habitat in New Mexico and Arizona to support a small population, and it would be great. I mean, it's just something that these ecosystems need.
Think about all of the ecotourism that would bring to the area through conservation. I mean,
absolutely.
It could be a project that could actually fund itself, because unfortunately, unlike us, not everyone loves snakes and wants to travel to go look for snakes. But I don't know too many people that wouldn't travel within the states to get a photograph of a jaguar or an ocelot.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, we already down here in southern Arizona get a lot of tourism for bird watching and stuff, and so it brings in literally millions of dollars, because we get certain species of reptile and bird and mammal that just barely comes up into southern Arizona, like the trogons, the bird. And they're people that come from all over the world, and people would come from all over, even if they, aren't going to see a jaguar, but just to be in the mountain range where they exist.
To have the potential
exactly
in the state is something to be said.
Exactly.
Just knowing that they're there is enough for real naturalist people like us to, like you're saying, to be in that mountain range and know, like, man, the chilling factor that I could be being watched right now by a jaguar, or there's one, a couple 100 yards away or something. That's what's going to draw people in, especially like us. So.
Yeah, it's so amazing, because I've been in a couple of these mountain ranges where there is a jaguar roaming around, and just knowing that, it's just an exciting thing, especially if you're a naturalist or something. It's just important to be out in the wild, and you just feel a little more alive.
Oh yeah, that's what it's about, is just connecting.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing with the ocelots, there is a breeding population of ocelots about 40 miles south of the border here. So it's a natural to take down this wall and allow ocelots and jaguars to freely roam.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure there's spots where they're crossing the rivers, and there's, still natural areas where they're like, all right, there's no boundaries here. This is just a boundary to us humans, and they're just living life. So that's pretty awesome.
There's some areas in the wall that, the border wall, that they can get through. But there needs to be a lot more, and that border wall doesn't really accomplish anything.
Now we figured that out.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, like, having like the tourism. It equivalates to people going to Tennessee to see bears and stuff like that. You know, like they love that stuff. You know, like I know I did. I was in Tennessee earlier this year, and I got to go see black bears, and it was really awesome. You know, just being able to be around them. And of course, I was herping, but at the same time, like while I was herping, I was like, man, there's black bears here, and all that. That'd be kind of
You
cool.
had to go to Tennessee to see black bears?
I didn't have to. We actually went there. I went there on a family vacation. I just so happened to see black bears, but no, I can see them in my own state. I haven't though.
You should come out one day.
I've been out by you multiple times, Gabe. Come on now.
Well, I mean, if I was a bear, I'd be scared of you too.
I would too.
Look at that face.
I don't know. I'd be scared of that Nissan driving about 5 miles an hour down all those rock roads by
Hey,
you.
listen, all the locals are already sketched out enough. You quit.
Who is this crackhead?
Usually they're just like, oh, it's just Gabe doing weird snake shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much. That's cool, man. Well, Sean, with all your years of experience and you know, all the studies you've done, I am curious. I like to hear what's in everybody's herp bag. So like what are some of your go-to tools and things you always equipment, anything you have on you when you're out herping? Like what are your essentials?
Mainly I just, you know, I basically just bring my my phone as a camera and bring my headlamp wherever I go, because I don't take anything out of the wild. I just really like seeing it out in its environment, taking a photo. And the one thing I did actually handle and a little bit lately was about 2 weeks ago. I found, I think you've got the photo of a really cool Centicolus triaspis, green rat snake.
I do. Hold on.
And I don't know if you can bring that up, but
yes, I'm doing it right now.
Got a couple of photos.
Yeah, I've got 2 of them here. I'm about to add the first one up.
Oh yeah.
God, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, you can see. I included that one because being a rat snake, it was just really cool to see his kind of elongated head there compared to most of the other snakes, you know, that live in this geographic area here.
Can you zoom in a little bit on that face by any chance, Jake, or the neck?
Yes. Give me 1 second. We'll zoom in a little bit.
You guys check out the yellows and just the coloration on that snake. I mean, a lot of herpers, a lot of rat snake lovers in North America always say that this is the pinnacle rat snake to find, and I hate to say it, but I'm one of those herpers.
Oh, I'm right there with you. I would probably shed a tear if I found one of these.
I can't wait to tick this one off the box one day.
One day.
Yeah, they're amazing, but you know, I've talked to people over the years, and you know, I just leave them out in the wild because, you know, among other reasons, I mean, they should stay there, but apparently they I have heard anyway, they don't do real well in general in captivity because they're pretty nervous. So you know, it's just fantastic to see them. Absolutely. And then let them go on their way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
This one I found was kind of as a young adult, not really that hasn't put on much any heft yet. I've found another one that was a couple years ago that was quite a bit longer and definitely like at least twice as big around. Pretty good size.
Dang. That's cool to know that they get that big, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, they're actually, you guys probably know, they're not all that rare down in the thorn scrub semi-tropical areas of Mexico. Years ago, I found a number of them down there, but you know, they just come up into this little small geographic area of Arizona, and they're not, you don't encounter them very often, so it's super cool to find one of these guys. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's an incredible.
We have a
Incredible
couple
find.
close buddies that live out in Arizona as well, and that's one of their favorite things to go down there and try to target that small little area and spend a couple days out there to try to pick one or two up and not to take, but to
Yeah, not to
you know,
take, just to observe.
just to find them. But and yeah, they always say the same thing. It's always like, all right, we're going out here on a mission. We know there's one little area to make it happen, and they hit it hard. So I can't wait to make that little trip one day to do that.
Well, this southern Arizona is really a fantastic place. Even if you don't find your target species, it's just an amazing place to be for a while. Yeah.
Well, not only that, just being in a new area with a whole new different biome. I mean, the plants, the birds, the insects. I mean, finding tarantulas and scorpions and centipedes. I mean, I know you guys don't care, but like
that would be cool. Like finding them would be cool.
a scolopendra, a freaking 1.5 foot long scolopendra just there.
Yeah. It'd give me the heebie-jeebies, but I'd be stoked.
It'd be cool as hell to see them, but I ain't gonna touch it.
Yeah, there are a lot of cool insects, and there's the also the bark scorpion, centroides.
Yep, we have a couple species here in South Carolina of bark scorpions.
Oh, yeah, one of my friends about a year ago, he was sleeping. He's married, sleeping next to his wife, and a scorpion stung him right on the ass one night.
Damn.
Centroides.
That's funny.
That's the wake-up call you don't want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah, that is. But to get back to what Gabe was just saying with, coming out here to southern Arizona and seeing all sorts of different biomes, it's a very interesting area for a lot of reasons. But one is, you guys probably know, it's kind of a real ecotone area, because you've got the Sonoran Desert coming in from the west, the Rocky Mountains from the north, the Chihuahuan Desert from the east, and the Sierra Madre Occidental from Mexico, the southern influence. So you've got all these geographic climate influences, and obviously the fauna and flora are influenced tremendously by those 4 different ecosystem types coming together. And that's one reason biodiversity is super high in this area.
Makes sense. That whole area calls to my soul, man. I need to get out there and not only just herp, but I want to live out there for a few years and just experience that place, man.
Well, it's the desert and the mountains out here are a pretty magical place. Yeah.
Yeah, I think all 3 of us are. Hopefully, I know me. I've talked about it with Gabe, talked about it with Sky multiple times. All 3 of us are trying to get out there. We're hoping sometime next year we can at least make a herp trip out of it, get out west sometime. And Arizona is obviously the spot, man. We're really trying to get out there.
Oh yeah, Arizona's a dream trip. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, no doubt. No doubt.
I'm kind of curious, Sean, for you being a little bit earlier in the hobby and everything, did you start keeping animals for yourself, or were you more of a get out in the field and find everything, and that's what kind of got you going into everything? Or was it keeping animals at home that kicked it all off for you?
Being out in the field mainly, but then as a kid, how can you not want to keep some stuff? And so, yeah, I had a bedroom as a kid growing up, a bedroom full of cages and snakes and everything else, and the occasional squirrel or whatever else I would bring into the house.
Yeah.
Anything you can rear up and play with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool. Do you keep anything now or no?
No, I've got a couple of. What I usually do is sometimes I'll keep something if I find it on a paved road where there's a lot of traffic, and I'll grab it and maybe keep it for a few days and then let it go. You know, if I can let it go in the same general location where it's pretty safe, I do that because I don't want to move them very far at all.
Right. Well, can you, so bringing that's actually a good point. Can you expand on, obviously we know but for anybody that doesn't, can you expand on why that's important of putting them back in, the same spot, if not very close by? It's just a good talking
because
point.
A lot of people, even people that are interested in reptiles, don't realize that snakes, they know their home territory. They have a little, they have a territory that they hang out in. It varies depending upon water and food availability and habitat type. But, they know their territory. Like I see on a regular basis, I'd say about 3 Western Diamondbacks around my house that for the last 2 or 3 months, I could kind of pretty much reliably go out there after the sun went down and find them. And I just look around and there's that guy sitting there and there's another one over there. And I could reliably find them. And now I've found this little blacktail rattlesnake a couple of times around here. And so it's very important because I haven't done the research, but there's been research done on, catching various snakes and relocating them. And they're finding that they do not survive very well if you relocate them very far away from where you found them. It's hard, obviously, as someone, if you say catch a Western Diamondback, to know exactly where their local territory is, but you can pretty much get an idea that you shouldn't, if you can let it go within a few hundred yards of where you found it, that's the best.
Right. Absolutely. And we do have a picture of that blacktail.
This is the little guy I found this morning in my garage.
What a treat.
Oh yeah. Well, it just cooled off the last couple nights and they're starting to look for places to spend at least part of the winter. And the garage is nice and warm. And I almost stepped on a really big diamondback barefoot last winter in my garage.
That's what I call house open.
So if you're living around here, you definitely have to watch where you step.
Yeah, you ain't lying.
I feel like having to watch out for rattlesnakes is like a plus, though.
Oh, if you're into it
for like us,
if you're like us, it's wonderful. Absolutely,
it's a great problem to have.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're a normal member of society, it's apparently the end of the world.
Terrifying.
Right. And anyway, and I'm absolutely serious here, really. What would life be without a little danger, without going up in the mountains and knowing, maybe there's a jaguar, maybe there's some lions. They might, mountain lions are actually very curious critters and they're known to follow people, but they're not really known to attack them, except very occasionally. And that's 99% of the ones that do are undersized or males that have been moved out of a territory and they're trying to find a territory and they're hungry as hell because they're young and they're not good hunters yet. So as a human, all you really need to do is make sure you're not doing seriously foolish stuff like bending over a stream and drinking with your mouth, because you're acting like a prey species if you do that.
Yeah,
that's
yourself.
a point that's something I've never actually thought of, is doing something like that and actually like depicting yourself as prey, doing something that their prey would do.
All we gotta worry about is not dressing in full brown so we don't get shot.
Yeah, that's all we gotta worry about.
Yeah, right.
So Sean, do you think you could take a mountain lion?
In a fight, you mean?
Yeah.
I can tell you for sure. I have actually tried that a little bit.
I gotta hear this. I gotta hear this.
And the answer is a flat for sure. No. Yeah,
That cat'll have you by the back of your neck faster than you can throw a punch.
Years ago, a friend of mine. I'll shorten the story, but a friend of mine got a small. It wasn't from the wild; it was from a zoo. He got a small mountain lion, and it was just a really little guy. And so I would go over to his house and hang out with it until it got to be about 120 pounds. But when it was little, little meaning like 25 pounds, and I'd go over to my friend's house, and this lion would hunt you 100% of the time. He'd peer around the door, and as soon as you turned away, he'd be on your neck. And you just, grab him by the scruff of the neck and throw him off, and he runs away, and then he starts hunting you again. But the last time I saw that lion was when it was about 120 pounds. And I decided, my friend said, "Oh, why don't you take him for a walk?" And so I took him for a walk, and he wanted to lie down under a bush. And I had to go and sit under the bush with him because I literally couldn't move him.
Oh,
They
no.
are so unbelievably strong. It's hard to even fathom it, it really is. But again, I want to stress that they're not dangerous because humans aren't on the menu for the most part. It just is something. I hike at night, I hike in the day. I'm never worried about it. I've had friends that were followed occasionally, but as a kid, I used to read a lot of books about lions and everything, and they are, mountain lions are known to be curious and follow people, and that's all they do, basically.
It'd still be enough to make the hair on the back of your neck stand up, though. I tell you.
Well, it can get you a little nervous. Yeah.
There was a couple of times in California where we would be walking around and we would find fresh prints and fresh scat coming. Like we would go down a trail, and then on the way back, we were finding fresh prints and fresh scat, and we were like, okay, something was watching us on the way there because clearly these weren't here on the way going, towards out into the woods. So
I know, and it is so cool when that happens. That's happened to me. I was in. You guys might know Anza Borrego State Park in California. It's the largest state park in the California park system. It's over 600,000 acres, and it butts up to the Cleveland National Forest. It's inland from San Diego. Okay. And it is a really beautiful, fantastic desert area. And I used to do a lot of photography. And so I'd take my, 300-400 millimeter lens and go sit in a little camouflaged place. And a couple of times I just like you're saying, I would walk out at night and I'd see tracks that weren't there, 2 hours ago. And you just feel alive. It's just great, actually. You feel alive because you know that he might have been watching you, and you're lucky to.
You're lucky that whatever you were doing, he didn't get the slip on you.
Well, that too, yeah.
I remember my grandpa took me and put me on his shoulders, and my dad took my little brother and put him on his shoulders. He's like, "We're gonna look tall all the way back to the house now that we know we're being watched." So.
I had a friend that. My friend Jim, who was hiking just about a year ago, I guess, and he had a lion follow him at dusk, and then into when it got dark, and he'd flash his light on him, and he'd see those eyes about 30 yards away, And yeah, this was in California. He was a little nervous, but as usual, nothing happens from it.
That's crazy, man. I think that would be one of the wildest things is like, I'm sure it happens to people more than they realize. And
Oh,
but
yeah.
you just never know about it. You know what I mean? Like they're so quiet, they're so reclusive. Like a lot of times, like if they don't want you to know that they're there, you won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and
Like,
it's like all four of us have probably thought many times when you're out, looking for reptiles or amphibians, how many of these cool snakes you're looking for that were there and you just missed them.
Oh yeah, or walked right by it because you didn't
Yeah,
see it
yeah.
under the leaf.
Yeah.
Cryptic basking.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one thing I really hate to think about. Because like me and Gabe just a couple weeks ago with some other friends were out looking for diamondbacks and pine snakes, and it's like I know they're around here and I know they can see us. It's like I know they're here, but like I can't see them. Don't know where they are, but they're just watching us and laughing the whole way.
They were probably like 2 foot under our feet.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh man. That's crazy. So, Sean, what's the most common thing that you see out there? But we'll say snake wise. What do you encounter the most?
For sure, Western diamondbacks, Crotalus atrox. Yeah.
Yeah, those things are like squirrels out there, huh?
Well, yeah, close to it. Yeah.
That was I lived in South Texas for a short period, and I herped all I could out there, and I tell you, there was rarely a day I didn't see a atrox. It's
interesting though in Arizona. It's like, because I did a lot of looking for reptiles in California and a lot here, and I've always found it. And same with some of my friends who've had similar experiences. Say it's usually harder to find reptiles out here in Arizona. I mean, they're here, but
the habitat's so good.
The habitat's great. Yeah, it's really good, but it takes a fair amount of work to find everything. Find what you're looking for, even if it's sometimes just an atrox. A fairly common animal. There's certain areas you can go to find them pretty regularly, but they're still it's pretty cool just to see anything out here.
Yeah. I remember one of the coolest atrox experiences I had.
When you got bit?
Not the one you guys are laughing at. That was not a cool one. It was actually the day I got bit though. I walked into this little we were on this path and I walked into this little cut and I saw this fresh baby just curled up in a perfect circle on the ground. I was like, oh wow, that's incredible. It's beautiful. So I was looking at it, taking a picture. All of a sudden I looked to my left. I was like, oh shit, there's another one. So I looked over there. I was like, there's another one. There's another one. And there was like 5 to 8 of these little baby landmines just all around me. And I was like, okay, let's just back out of here. Don't step on any of them. Let's just back up real slow and get out of here before we step on a baby atrox.
Was that in Texas?
Yeah, I was in South Texas.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I lived in Corpus Christi.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so spent a little time out there, but yeah, that was probably the most common thing we found out there. That, and I had a spot for diamondback water snakes. I always went and caught some out of there. Those were fun. Very good. What can you, Sean? Can you tell us a little bit about the rattlesnake study you did? You mentioned in your mid-20s. Talking about the Willardy and the Pricey Eye and all that.
That particular one was mainly to document and map the 3 montane rattlesnakes on Nature Conservancy property for a while, and then mapping in general, where I found them, And then I also did some work with the Western Massasauga cistrurus rattlesnakes, because at the time, and I guess I have to say this because it dates me, but I guess I'll say it anyway. This would be in the, I guess, late 70s, I think it was. And we went down to extreme south eastern Arizona to look for the Massasaugas, and they hadn't been found for quite a while. But I think it's just because nobody was really looking for them. And in the middle of monsoon rains, we found 4 of them in the week I was there.
Wow.
Nice.
And that was very cool. And it used to be, Arizona in prior, more paleo climates, there were more cienagas in southern and southeastern Arizona, cienagas being marshy lands. And so that obviously, the pygmy rattlesnakes and the stuff like that, they're in wetter areas generally. And southern Arizona used to be wetter, 10,000 years ago, or X number of thousands of years ago. So it's, so I was doing some work on them, just documenting them and mapping where I found them. And that was just great. I mean, I love doing that. And then I was doing some work around that same time on Western Diamondback den sites.
So with the Western Diamondback dens, are they also like typically timbers are going to be denning on like the south side of the mountain? Is it kind of the same thing over there too? With the
very similar southwestern facing slopes. Yeah, and so we would find dens. I mean, and it was really pretty amazing to. In those days, there was no Google Maps, so you just had to get a topo map and find places that looked interesting, and try to get there, cross the desert or wherever you were, and check them out. And it was really obviously a lot of fun. And if we found a good southwestern facing slope with good rock structure and deep crevices, you were pretty sure of finding some atrox and a few Gila monsters frequently there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now, is that mostly like sandstone escarpments, or is it more like lime or granite? Like,
a lot of the areas I was looking in were basalt.
Yeah, that's cool.
But it depends on where you are. There are plenty of mountains around here that have, like the Catalinas, have lots and lots of granite and also limestone. That's why there are some of the fantastic caves around here. There's Karchner Caverns, Colossal Cave outside of Tucson, and there are other caves, Cave of the Bells, things like that. But so there's a lot of limestone out here too.
Nice. Yeah, I always like the one thing. So, for instance, I do a lot of enclosure builds, right? And so one of the nice things I find is what kind of rock am I going to make this rock background look like? So for like an Arizona build, I've always wondered, is it more like sandstone escarpment? Is it more granite outcrop type deal? Is it more like washed out limestone? So
it's more, I mean, it depends on where you are, but a lot of the stuff around here, there's a lot of granite outcrops and basalt in different areas. And like, for instance, if you're looking for rock rattlesnakes, frequently the area that looks really good has a lot of lichens on the rocks. So
Nice.
Those are some of the best type of areas, and you know, so you can't go if you're doing an Arizona exhibit. Granite would be a good choice.
Nice.
Sean, I gotta ask, since you said you were really big into keeping and stuff in your younger years, this podcast is really targeted around obviously field herping and all of that, but not only field herping, but what you experience and see out in the field and what you bring back to your home collection to better it or implement into your habits so you could see habits that the animals are doing out in the wild in your home. So I'm just curious if while you were out there doing those studies, finding those rattlesnakes, was there stuff that you would see and you'd be like, oh man, I need to, try that at the house so I can see if I can get a similar behavior to happen out of a pet or something, because that's just one topic we love talking about, because there's numerous times where each of us have seen something in the wild and tried it at home. And it's just one of those feelings where you feel like you're a little bit more connected to the ether and you got a little bit better understanding of what's going on out there in nature. So I was wondering if you've ever had any of those experiences.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Mostly my experiences with amazing or very interesting behavior in the wild, I leave it out there because I don't want to bring the two rattlesnakes back.
Yeah,
some of the behavior that I've seen are, a couple of good sized Western Diamondbacks doing the male combat behavior.
Oh, that's cool.
And in fact, I got some nice video of that last year on my phone at night up in Saguaro East National Monument.
That's incredible.
Or National Park, I guess it is now. So that was very cool. And then, one of the times when I was up in the Huachucas, looking for the montane rattlesnakes, my friend and I, it was about 9:00 at night, and we heard these leaves rustling. We went outside, and it was these two really big blacktail rattlesnakes doing the combat behavior, and we just kind of experimented standing there, and they just, they were just right at our feet, and they weren't. We weren't worried about them, and they weren't paying much attention to us. So
I've heard when they're in that combat stage that they're in somewhat of a trance. So I could see where you guys were trying to see, like, was that one of your thoughts? Was like, all right, are they in a trance? Are they going to notice us if we stand?
Well, I don't know about a trance, but they definitely could care less about us, and literally they were up against our shoes a couple of times, and
wow.
They just were doing their thing, and as long as we were kind of calm, nothing happened. And then, so anyway, and I've seen that with Southern Pacific's only a couple of times. Southern Pacific's Helleri. Now I guess it's Crotalus oreganus Helleri, I think is the newer name.
They got to switch it up every couple of years.
Yeah, I know that's it. Those older guys get bugged by that.
We get bugged by it too.
Oh yeah.
I only wanted to ask that question because we have a lot of friends that keep a lot of like the clobberai and a lot of the Western rattlesnakes. And one of our good buddy Phil, he talks about how when he saw the clobberai out in the wild, it was doing a upward facing ambush position on a rock. And he thought it was so awesome. So he said as soon as he got home, he put an upward facing, it was either a rock or a cork flat to simulate a rock. And he said within 30 minutes to an hour, when he went back in there to check on the snake, it was in that upward facing ambush position. And he was like, I've just unlocked the behavior for this snake that it's had in its body its whole life. I was just not providing it, the adequate,
Yeah, that's very cool that he noticed that, and one of the main reasons the clobberai is in that position is because their primary prey is Scaloporus yarovi, the yarrow's spiny lizards, and so that's the perfect place for them to be. for a little Scaloporus to be cruising by. So yeah, the stuff like that is very interesting. You know, I've seen a lot of cool behaviors with gopher snakes and rattlesnakes, but I haven't been keeping rattlesnakes for a lot of years. And then I've seen a lot of really interesting behavior with coach whips. Some really cool behavior this year, but I wouldn't keep them because you'd need to really
bedroom.
do it right. You'd need a cage the size of a house.
Yeah.
Seriously, though, we always talk about that. We're all on this podcast. We're all stimulated. Gabe, me, and Jake. We're all stimulated hugely by the coach whips. Actually, it's one of my favorite Florida snakes.
Yeah.
And if you want to talk a little bit more about anything coach whips, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the behaviors you've witnessed.
Oh, it's not, I guess it's not so much unbelievable, unique behavior, but they're just so amazing to see when they're hunting and cruising around, because those guys can just flow over the landscape like fast water.
Well, they're so visually oriented too, which, you know, most
and they raise their heads up, part of their body up, and they're just hunting. They're so alert, and they're just amazing how they are so alert and hunting all the time. They're like they appear. I mean, I'm anthropomorphizing here, but they appear like a super intelligent snake because they're so alert.
I always put them on a higher pedestal I don't want to commonize anything, but like they seem like they're a step above a lot of reptiles. Because it, just like you're saying, they're tacked onto their surroundings. You can visually see their brains operating as they move around.
Exactly.
And 2/3 out of the time that they are on the move, they're in that periscope position. It's truly, and like you said, they float over their environment. And I love how you said environment and not ground, because those things will transition from the ground to the top of a bush in the blink of an eye, and they'll make it look so smooth and fast that it's mind-blowing. I think they're just so adapted to their surroundings, and just they're truly a weapon. I love coach whips, man. They're a next level reptile.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, everything obviously is adapted and evolved to their area, but when you watch a coach whip snake cruising around, it seems like super adapted to where it lives, because it's just like you said, they'll go from the ground up in the upper reaches of a bush in an instant, and they just flow up there.
It's crazy. Never skipping a beat.
It is really a treat to watch those snakes do their own thing, hunt and everything like that.
I wish I could show you my laptop screensaver, because I have a coach whip I caught earlier this year. It's one of the most beautiful coach whips I've ever caught. It just goes from the starkest black to lava red all the way into the starkest white you've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
One of my favorite.
We have some very nice looking ones out here. That's the other thing that's very cool about coach whips, is they're really variable in their look, because we have some out here, the black phase, they're all jet black, and some of them, just like you're saying, maybe the head and 5 inches of their neck are black, and then they get real pink, and so much variation. And so each one is a little different.
Yeah, love it.
Do you think that the intelligence, air quotes, level of the coach whip is possibly because of it being Ophiophagus, being that it's designed to hunt other snakes?
Yeah,
so therefore it has to be a little smarter or a little bit more calculated than other snakes.
Yeah, and I mean, also they hunt lizards, and you know, speaking about observing reptiles, I've only lived in this. I have this ranch now down here in southern Arizona, I've only been here for a couple of years, but this is so funny. You guys would love it because this ranch is a rocky outcrop in this environment.
Man.
And so I've got Scaloporus lizards on all the walls, and they move around depending upon the temperature and the season, and they're super alert. And the only way a coach would be able to nab one of those guys is by being even smarter and more alert. And so obviously it's an arms race between the lizards and the coach whips as to who evolves
who evolved more and who evolved to be better than the other one.
Yeah, and so it's always back and forth, but lizards are so alert around here, and the coach whips are unbelievably alert. So it's it's very cool.
I think that's also part of it with the coach whips is like they're always hunting, they're always looking, but they literally they run down their prey. Like they're not an ambush, they're not a lying wait. Right. They're like, I'm gonna get you.
Exactly.
We have the coach whip candy out here in Florida, the 5-line race runners. And the only way you can ever get hands on those is if you flip one under something when it's cold and you catch it before it darts off. And to think that something can catch one of those, like you just said, it's a whole nother step of evolution on how to understand how to catch your prey, because you got to be a top-notch human being. You got to be a supernatural human being to catch a race runner on the move, man. I tell you what.
I can tell you guys now, I've discovered the secret if you wanted to catch race runners. If you try to actually catch them, it's next to impossible. But I've got this ranch has just provided me with the coolest thing is I hand feed these little whiptails with mealworms. They'll come right up to my hand and take them right out of my hand.
So you got to trick them. You got to bribe them. Is basically
you got to bribe them and trick them. And I even had one run in the house after a mealworm.
Stumpy.
Yeah, and I have to admit I almost killed him accidentally. I didn't see him in the house, and I closed the door and I sliced his tail off.
Oh no!
But he kept coming back for more, and then I obviously could recognize him, and I named him Stumpy, of course.
That's
and he was coming back all summer long, and he was just a hog for mealworms, and he'd just run right up to you as soon as you'd come to the kitchen door and beg for mealworms. I mean, if you moved too quickly, he'd zip off, but
right.
And he'd zip off, of course, if a road runner or something would come by. But
that's another cool thing. You get to see road runners.
Oh yeah.
I thought those were only in cartoons, man. That's crazy.
Now you come up here, you'll see them. Hey, speaking of snakes, I got one quick thing I wanted to show you guys and your viewers. But this is a very good book.
It's a great book.
I have that book, I believe.
Fantastic.
Oh wait, no, mine's the Rattlesnakes of the United States and Canada.
Yeah,
that one. But yeah, that's.
But this is a really good reference book for anyone that wants to learn about the snakes of Arizona.
Yeah.
And there's God, I don't have it right here with me. I can't. I think it's either the Snakes of Sonora, Mexico, or the Reptiles of Sonora. A friend of mine wrote it, and it just came out about 2 years ago, but that's also a very good book.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely something to look into. Some we need, all of us need to start reading up on if we want to do this Arizona trip.
I have read that Snakes of Arizona book.
I'm going to have to get that book and do a little.
Fantastic.
I feel like I have that book somewhere. I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure I have that book.
Oh, the closest thing I got to that is the Petersons of the United States, so I can look up a few things in Arizona.
Oh yeah. Well, here, do you want me to hold this up again? So,
I'll look that thing up on Amazon as soon as we get off of this podcast
okay.
and see what they got it for sale for.
Snakes of Arizona.
Yeah,
I think
Snakes
it's
of
like
Arizona by Holy Cross and Mitchell.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Beautiful. Well, Sean, speaking of Snakes of Arizona, do you know, I don't know if you keep count, but we all keep, lifer lists around here. And, me and Gabe are on the hunt to find every snake in South Carolina. Where do you sit on a list like that? Do you think you found the large majority, if not all, the snakes that can be found in Arizona?
A fair amount of them. I mean, the ones I've looked for, I haven't really gone up to northern Arizona for a long time, so I've never found a Great Basin rattlesnake. That's lutosis, and but I've found the 3 montane rattlesnakes here in Arizona. Oh, I know one that I was looking for him just a few days ago. I still haven't found a Oxybellus, a vine snake.
I was literally about to ask you about the vine snakes. That's hilarious.
But
all right, well, I got my answer. Still haven't found it.
I haven't found one. But now I think I will soon, because it takes me about 25 minutes to drive to their habitat. So I'm real close.
Sweet.
Nice.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah,
are you familiar with the Barons racers at all?
No,
From
not
South
really.
America?
No.
They kind of resemble a vine snake like that, but they have a brown phenotype. And as I was mentioning, our buddies in Arizona, I was just sending them pictures of the brown Barons in its enclosure, and I was like, you would have to know where this thing was in the wild to see it, because it looks exactly like a damn stick in its enclosure, and I have it in an enclosure and I can barely find it. So if it's in the wild, good luck. And he goes, buddy, don't even get me started on vine snakes. I've spent a lifetime looking for these things. I still can't find them. And there's a pocket population that you can find them in them. So it's not even like you got the whole state to look. You got one little area and you really got to lock in. And I know it's only like a handful or a couple, not a couple, but it's a small group of people that have been able to find those in the wild. And I know it's an experience. So,
yeah, well, I know where to look. I know the time of year that's the best. I live just a short ways away, so I think I'll probably get lucky next season.
Well, you have to send us some pictures if you do. I'd love to see.
Oh
that.
yeah, for sure.
That'd be great. Is it the ridge nose rattlesnake that's very, very rare out there?
Yeah,
the
ridge nose, Arizona ridge nose, that's Crotalus willardi, and then the rock rattlesnake, and then pricei, and they're all protected now.
Mm-hmm.
I believe. I know willardi and pricei are, and yeah, they're hard to find, but they're really cool to see and get a photograph of here and there.
Yeah, we can't wait to get out there and see some
of
those.
Those are some of my favorites, man. I'd love to do that.
Oh, yeah.
What other states have you spent any amount of time in herping? Has pretty much everything been out west, or have you ever been?
Yeah, well, up until Gabe showed me South Carolina. Yeah, that was very cool. Nice. So yeah, I'd love to come back out there. I mean, the guys out west want to go there, and you guys want to come here.
We'll do a little trade off. We'll gladly help you out.
It's the grass is greener effect. You always want what you can't have. We have it's everyone in Asia. They always talk about how Americans are spoiled, bratty people. We have unlimited venomous. We have colubrids. We got aquatics. We got the whole gamut. And all we want to do is go to Indonesia and see their green bean vine snakes. So
right. Yeah.
Believe me, we're with you on that. But where in South Carolina did he give you the Francis Marion Grand Tour?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I'm raring to come back for a another tour.
Oh yes,
I think
so are we.
we got cottonmouth. We saw the EDB, and we saw what else we see? The Carolinians, the pygmy rattlesnake.
Where'd you guys see the EDB?
Oh, it was not found by us. It was radio telemetry. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if you guys are lucky enough to make an Arizona trip next year, I've got a big guest house that'll be ready in about a month or so. So
Hey.
you're welcome to.
We'll let you know, Sean.
I'll let you know why I buy the plane ticket, sir.
Well,
That's
we'd rather pay you than an Airbnb. That's
Yeah.
for dang sure.
yeah.
Sean, you're not going to get any sleep if we're there. We're going to have you out walking all night for rattlesnakes.
Yeah. We're gonna be turned into a vampire.
I'll make you guys a few margaritas, then you'll go to sleep later at night.
Now you're talking my language.
Yeah.
Have you had a chance to get out of the country and do any herping?
Not recently, but I've done a fair amount in Mexico. A number of years ago. One night, this was a while ago, but one night we found 63 snakes in one evening.
Hell yeah.
Whoa.
Good Lord.
Sounds like you were in the Florida Everglades or something.
Wow.
Yeah, we found Mexican milk snakes, cat-eye snakes, blonde-headed tree snakes, green rat snakes, a DOR, dead on the road, gigantic Mexican West Coast rattlesnake.
Basiliscus.
Basiliscus, right.
Is that the red one?
No, that's the kind of goldish looking one. It's the West Coast diamondback.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I know.
The ones that they're almost like the ones that supposedly are giving the Eastern Diamondback a run for their money on biggest.
Yeah. Yeah. Gotcha.
I got two good little snake stories from Mexico. The first year I went down there years ago, I ended up staying for like 4 months.
Wow.
And
4 months in Mexico sounds magical.
Yeah.
well, it was. Now I'm not so sure how magical with various cartel
Cartel
Yeah.
stuff
control
going
man.
on. But in any event, we were down there I was down on the West Coast about 1,000 miles down from the border. And I was out with a couple of friends, and we're on this little tiny island, and we found this crebo.
No kidding.
That's
Wow.
cool.
Zipping up a tree, and my friend was taller than I was, and I said, "Oh, Peter, you grab it." And he goes, "No, I'm not going to grab it." And I said, "Just grab it and toss it to me." And so because he was like 6'5", and so he grabs it and tosses it to me. And this thing must have bit me in 10 seconds. It must have bitten me 20 times.
Goodness.
And then we put it in a bag. And then we're trying to say, well, what are we going to do with it? And I just said, well, I guess we might as well just let him go after all that.
Yeah, screw this. I don't want to get bit anymore.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
man.
it was a real nice, big, about a 6-7 foot crebo.
Was
Yellowtail or
it
blacktail?
more like yellowtail or blacktail?
Yellowtail.
Heck
Okay.
yeah. That's
I
awesome.
would take 20 bites from it if it meant finding that thing, man. Oh my
Absolutely.
goodness.
Yeah, I
Dang,
mean, for
man.
me, it was just like, well, that's what you put up with when
They
you grab
do.
snakes.
This is
It's
the
like, what's the
consequences
deal?
of finding a wild crebo, and I will deal with the
I have a
consequences.
Nerodian right on my thumb right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the price we pay.
So
Price we
that and my other memorable find in Mexico was I was a little bit inland from Veracruz, which is down, in near the isthmus where it's very narrow.
Veracruz, that's where they get like the the prairie rattlesnakes that look all weird. The Salvinis, right? The Crotalus salvinis.
I believe those are found more in the mountains, but I'm not sure. I was very rainforesty, a little bit in from Veracruz, lowland, a lot of rivers. And I was walking right along a river on a path, and the sun was just coming right through the overstory, the canopy, right on the piece of the path. And there was about a 7-foot boa constrictor
Hell
just
yeah.
That's
on
so
the
cool.
path. And, the sun was on him, the iridescence, it obviously just shed. And it was just one of the most memorable, beautiful finds of that I still remember to this day. Yeah.
That is so
That's
epic.
awesome.
That's incredible.
Mexican boa, baby. That's
Yeah,
hard
man.
to beat.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's incredible. Well, one question I like to ask everybody on here, and I would hope you have one, especially being out west. You have any like freaky stories of things that happened out in the field? Anything weird that you couldn't really explain?
No, everything has an explanation.
Yeah.
Okay.
He-
Well,
he-
anything weird that you can explain?
He debunked everything, Jake.
The trucks that sideswiped you. Weird behavior.
Well, if you want just weird, explainable but weird.
Yeah, I'll take weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this was about 3 weeks ago.
Oh, this is recent.
Yeah, it was just an Atrox, but it's the closest I come to getting bit in a long time. But I found one just driving back to my place, and he was off the road, and I just kind of was pointing towards him with my water bottle, and he just, every once in a while, Atrox will really surprise you in their aggressiveness, and he just literally went nuts, like he had just had electric stimulant or something. He just practically leaped off the ground and turned around, and I still have a vision of his open mouth snapping at me. And I was with a friend, and he saw the same thing. I mean, the open mouth of this thing, and it just missed my hand by a short bit. So it wasn't freaky or anything, but it was definitely
Out of the norm.
behavior that you don't see that often, but you have to be aware of it, because occasionally an Atrox will act very, very aggressive and very odd.
I tell you, every Atrox I encountered in Texas was the most defensive snake I have ever dealt with. Every single one. Like here, I deal with cane brakes more than anything. And like, you can move them off the road with a hook and they won't even rattle at you. Atrox, if I got within 20 feet of it, that thing's standing up and just singing at me. It was like,
yeah,
whiz, man, they're just angry. At least everyone I dealt with. I never dealt with one that was calm by any stretch.
Well, I've had a number of semi-calm ones, but this one was just super crazed. But yeah, like if you deal with a blacktail rattlesnake around here, they're more like the timbers. They're pretty okay about getting moved off the road with a hook or something.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the most docile, coolest, one of my favorite rattlesnakes is in Southern California. I used to find a lot of red diamondbacks.
Really?
Nice. Yeah.
Those are
Rubidus or
Rubidus, yeah.
Ruber.
Those are the shit, man. I love those.
Yeah, those they're not only beautiful, but they are very calm compared to most rattlesnakes.
I've seen one in my life. And I remember me and my dad were looking at it because we didn't know what it was at first. We had to look it up and ask some questions later, because my dad was like, this is not a normal rattlesnake. I've never seen a rattlesnake this color. And it was a huge adult, but it never struck. it just sat in a coil position at the base of this like rock and tree that must have had a den right there. And it was like we saw it at sundown, and it just sat there and did a steady, not aggressive, fast rattle, just a slow rattle, like, get away from me. I'm not going to hurt you. Don't hurt me. This is where I'm at. And me and my dad just stared at it like, what the hell is this thing? Like, I've never seen a rattlesnake this color. And then we looked up, like, oh, this is complete. This isn't a Western Diamondback.
So you saw that in San Diego County.
Is that
right?
okay? Is that okay? Yeah, I was a kid, so I just know it was always when we do a lake trip, our dad would just take us on hikes and stuff where we were at. And it was at sundown. We went on a hike and we saw that thing. It was freaking amazing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they pretty much occur in San Diego County and then south into Baja along the peninsular range.
Okay, sick. Yeah, I know we were in SoCal because we would always go from like Paso Robles at my grandparents' house and down from there because that was just kind of the area to go. So
cool.
Nice. What's your experience with Mojave rattlesnakes out there?
I don't, I'm not looking for them usually. I mean, I don't go specifically to their preferred habitat, but they're more of I've found them near here, and I'm surprised that I haven't found one yet at my ranch here. But I tend to think of them a little bit more of a grassland sort of species. Mm-hmm. Although I found them outside. If you go on the west side of Tucson, you can find them out there. And the one time because as I said, I don't really target them as something I'm looking for. But when I was looking years ago, when I was doing that research to find the Massasauga rattlesnakes in extreme southeastern Arizona, it was at the base of mountains, and I was in a grasslandy area. And I remember one night finding, I think it was 15 or 18 Mojaves when we road cruised in one night.
Whoa. That's a lot of Mojaves. That's a lot of rattlesnakes.
That's a lot of snakes.
Yeah.
Period.
I mean, that granted, that was years ago. And I wouldn't say that was the golden age of finding snakes, but it was definitely better and easier than it is now.
Yeah. A lot less development and a lot less people to kill shit.
No, that's the thing. I mean, since I've been in high school, the population of the United States has pretty much doubled. And there's so much habitat destruction and fragmentation, and that's just taken a huge toll on biodiversity in general and snakes in particular. And then you add in, around here anyway, climate change, and they've been through a number of droughts, and a number of friends of mine have said who were here when I went to school and stayed here the whole time, much of the snake population is, in their experience, their opinion is much reduced.
Oh yeah, I mean, I live in the fastest growing county in South Carolina.
Oh yeah, right.
It's ridiculous. I feel like every time I turn around, I'm seeing a little plot of woods getting cleared for neighborhoods. And
right.
I mean, even since I was a kid, I feel like, especially honestly, just the last 5 years, I feel like I've seen a general decrease in number of snakes, even for out here where I'm at.
Wow.
And my area is probably right behind Gabe as far as growing. And my day job, I actually inspect construction sites for stormwater. And there's 3 of us, and between the 3 inspectors, we have pushing 600 active construction sites right now.
Wow.
And it's
and what area is that?
It's Beaufort County. So
because when I was there last year, in Somerville and down in Beaufort,
where we're at in Berkeley County.
Yeah, and I kept thinking, man, if I had to move out of Arizona, that area, Beaufort or around where you are, Gabe, is just dynamite. I really like it there. And
Yeah.
also, I grew up near the beach.
Oh yeah.
I could walk to the beach most of my young life, and it is so cool. I really miss the ocean, so it's really nice living near the beach.
Oh yeah, I can get to. I mean, it's a little bit of a drive for me to get to like a beach, but like
Yeah.
I can get to the salt marsh or get to the intercoastal waterway within like 10 minutes of my house, and I
Yeah,
love it.
that's pretty nice.
I can walk to the closest saltwater near me. It's I
Right.
literally pass a river going
Oh wow.
anywhere. Like I'm right on the river. I'm an avid fisherman as well, and so we do a lot of saltwater fishing around here. And
Uh-huh.
yeah, we're right there on it, man. That's
Well, you guys can stay in my guest house, and then when I come there, you guys got to take me saltwater fishing.
oh, we'll do that. So
Fun.
a good friend of mine is actually a charter captain here.
Oh my God.
He I go fishing with him all the time. I always tell everybody, so the best kind of boat is the one your buddy has.
Your friend's boat.
That's right.
It's your buddy's boat. It ain't your boat.
Yeah, so he's got a boat. I do all the work while we're on it, but I can pretty much take anybody. So you come down here, we'll switch off. I'll take you fishing if we could stay in your guest house. That'd be great.
You let me know when you want a Florida trip too. We'll hit the South Florida gamut, and then we'll run down and do some South Florida stuff and get some exotics and some crocodiles and some invasive species.
Man, that sounds excellent, and I'll take you guys over to Vine Snake Central.
Oh man,
I'll be ready for it.
I might cry if I find a vine snake.
Gilas, green rat snakes, vine snakes, and then everything else.
Yeah.
Honestly, for me, it's just getting out west, man. I just love the area and I love the habitat. I love the desert. The only time I went out there was when I was a little kid. My family drove across country to California, and I was so young, I don't hardly remember any of it. But I saw all the coolest areas. We went to, I've been to the Badlands, saw the Grand Canyon, been to Yellowstone, but I was just a little kid. So like I have little flashes, but I'm like, oh, I need to get out there, man. So bad.
Well, the West is definitely, in my opinion, a pretty magical landscape. There's a lot of variation out here, but it's all amazing.
I feel like it's the homeland of North America. That southern western area, it just holds all the secrets and the wonders of what we got out here in North America, it seems like.
Yeah.
So Sean, for herping out west and someone who's herped here in the southeast now, what would you say your favorite aspect of herping in each is? So like what's your favorite aspect of herping out west versus your favorite aspect of herping in the southeast?
By aspect, do you mean how I like to like road cruise or whatever?
Yeah, like what would be the one thing that you look for and you look forward to seeing or you look forward to doing and herping in each? And kind of what's your technique?
I love a few things. There's nothing better. I love road cruising, especially on dirt roads now. But there's nothing better than finding any wildlife, snake or anything else, when you're walking along a stream or somewhere and you just happen upon it. And and you're just observing their behavior as they're doing as they're cruising around looking for food or whatever they're doing. So that aspect of it, just seeing them out in the wild while you're walking is the best. It's just, and I love night hiking with a headlamp, and it's just really cool to come upon western diamondbacks that are sitting there in ambush posture, just waiting. And then in the southeast, I've only been out there, a little bit, but it was just so cool cruising those dirt roads.
Oh,
And I still have not found a cane brake, but I'd love to.
you
But
just got to see
yeah.
one more.
We can make that happen. That can happen without a doubt. Gabe, me and me and Jack found one the other week when Gabe was here. Gabe found one on his way out, DOR, and then Jack and I found one DOR that same night on a different road. And very
Wow.
quite a large adult, unfortunately.
I found
Yeah.
three juveniles about 2 weeks ago, all in a span of like 3 days, all on the same stretch of road. So I'm willing to bet on that same stretch of road, a mom probably dropped a litter and they were starting to disperse because it was like clockwork. On my way home from work, it was like, "Ooh, baby cane brake." Next day, "Oh, baby cane brake," and they were all neonates with only one button, so they had all had their first shed. So I was like, all right, they've had their first shed, they're starting to disperse.
Yeah.
One of my favorite finds this year is I found a new road that's been great for road cruising. It's blacktop, but it produces a lot. And I was out there one night, and I remember thinking to myself, I was like, man, this really looks like good habitat for cane brakes. I'm sure they're out here. And that night, I found this massive, probably 4.5, 5 foot adult just in the middle of the road, stretched out. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes. And they're so beautiful down here, man.
You guys have both found some immaculate cane brakes this year, man. It's been nice to see the pictures. I'm jealous.
They're the nicest cane brakes in the country, man. Down here.
Yeah, they are. They really are.
I kind of beg to differ. I feel like the South Georgia and North Florida ones that are bright pink and really light gray are the best ones. But everyone's got their own cup of tea.
I'm kind of with Sky on this. I like the grayish and the light pink. Like,
that's what you get by me. They're a little bit different by you, Gabe. But up here, does
that look stretch all the way up to you, Jake?
Yeah, I'm pulling up a picture. Give me one second.
Because like I've seen some pictures of some in North Florida that they're like a very close pink to your guys' red pygmies.
Yeah.
But
and then they still got the stripe in the tan.
Yeah. So they're really, really pink.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is nice.
I mean, just a perfect orange stripe down the back. The picture doesn't do it justice, but it was almost blonde in color.
It almost looks like it has blue eyes, dude.
Yeah, it's got like really light silver eyes, and this was just
is an amazing looking timber. Yeah.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And then actually,
what's so cool is when you guys are talking about different cane brakes looking different. Yeah, one of the coolest things to think about always for me is like all these different geographic regions. You get these little minor variations in color, and it just makes you think about evolution and speciation, and it just puts out you get all these questions by just observing nature. And it is just so cool to see that. I mean, it's just, with coach whips or even blacktail rattlesnakes here are very similar. It's like certain mountain ranges, they're more gold and black, and certain areas in like more grassy areas or lower elevations, frequently they're more olive colored.
It's crazy to think that a couple of years of evolution, just the genes could change from the substrate of wherever they're at geologically. And that's one of the things I love to bring it up on this podcast all the time, because my boy Jake here is a huge rat snake fan and keeper. And obviously that's a taxonomic nightmare. But that's my biggest argument point is, yes, these snakes are all genetically very similar, if not the same. The only difference is where they have adapted to geologically throughout this country. Obviously, we have, the lighter, brighter stuff where it's super hot and we have nothing but limestone waters and waterways for them to live in. And then obviously
Right.
you go north, they need to be darker, they need to be more adapted to the cold weather. It just seems like such a clear cut thing and a connection to make, but yet here we are with the taxonomic geniuses out here writing papers on, well, this one's different because of that, and they're all the same because of this, when in reality, nature's just doing nature. So I love to hear you. You're a man that's seen so many different mountain ranges and so many different snakes. You can, and you've made these connections. So it's great to hear that, because that just goes to back the point that I love to try to push.
Yeah, well, it's just so I love to see the gradations in patterns and colors within species based on, like you're saying, the geology and the geographic area. It is so amazing. And, even just being interested in biology like all you guys are, it just keeps your mind thinking. It will your whole life, and you'll
Stave off
you'll never get senile because you'll be using your brain, because you got all this passion and interest in reptiles and their habitats, and so that's a
Nature,
good thing.
nature as a whole, really. Shoot, we all geek out on the little stuff, the bugs, the plants.
Yeah.
I've got a cool one for y'all. Talking about variations. So I just showed you the one cane break. I'm about to show y'all another one that I found. These were both found on the same WMA. Granted, they may have been roughly a mile apart, which isn't very far, but you saw how light that one was. I also found this one on the exact same WMA.
Oh wow, yeah.
It was so much darker. It was not in shed. This isn't like some, different thing, but just like a completely different look. Like if somebody told me they found this up in North Carolina where you would consider it a timber, I wouldn't have batted an eye, but I literally found this a matter of, a mile on the same WMA, same property as that one that was so light, had that beautiful orange stripe, like just incredible variation in cane breaks down here.
It's Tennessee and put that there.
What's that?
I would just
why you brought that back from Tennessee and put that there.
No, man, I found that.
I would venture to guess, although I don't know, but within a litter of neonate cane breaks, you probably can have quite a bit of variation, because
absolutely,
I know with blacktails out here, just within one litter, you can have a lot of variation of color, and then it gets sorted out by nature.
I would say that's what ends up giving you the color variation that matches the best, because whichever ones blend in the most and survive the longest are obviously going to be the ones that produce and survive and keep the generations going. So
the red tail doesn't see that one, but sees that one.
Yeah, it's all about natural selection, and out here we got a lot of red-tailed hawks that do a lot of selecting.
But we also see things through our color and our eyes, when we don't realize that nature is a lot different, and a lot of prey don't see the same way we see things. So
exactly, very good. That's an excellent point. Yeah,
they could be coming up to a prey item way different than we're seeing it through our eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, that's a nice looking one.
That's a pretty one.
This was the same one as before, just more stretched out.
Oh,
this was the first one I showed.
Very cool.
I mean, this was probably the most like incredible cane I've ever come across. I mean, what a
Jake, do you have the picture of the one that we flipped in like the old dryer this spring?
That was coming up next. Let me grab that. Yeah, well, that one was cool. Our buddy Jack, who's in the chat right now, he asked you about the mountain lions. He actually spotted it, and Gabe was turning this thing over, and he spotted this cane break in this old dryer barrel thing. I don't even know what it was.
Yeah, I'm so glad it was cold. That thing was right at
yeah, that thing, if it wanted to light you up, it could have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Like without a doubt. Let me find that. Here we go. Where are we at? My thing goes too quick. I have so many pictures on here of different snakes. Here we go.
If you can find those photos that I sent, there is a kind of an okay picture of a cool snake. Found a coral snake.
Yes, I have that.
Oh wow! Look at that.
I'll zoom
Such a
in a little
photogenic
bit.
picture right there.
Right.
Or
Yeah,
picturesque.
You
let's
see
say.
the big old rattle on that thing too on the back.
Oh wow! Yeah.
It's in deep shed too.
I found an Atrox a few weeks ago that had a super long rattle as well. Wow, that's amazing that it hasn't broken half that rattle off.
That's one of my favorite things to see in rattlesnakes is just like a really long rattle being like, man,
And
this
if
thing
you-
is just the
If you
king.
look at that rattle too, if you zoom in on it,
The
you
tip's broken.
well, the tip's broken, and you notice you can tell
Oh, yeah.
it's been broken before because look, all the rattles are about the same width going all
Yeah,
the way.
they're all.
Yeah.
That's an old snake.
That's an old snake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can see it in his face. He's got kind of droopy eyes going on, and
Oh yeah.
he's seen some shit.
That,
Big
that's
old
Yeah.
boy.
I would bet that's an ancient canebrake right there. As far
Yeah,
as
I would
goes.
agree. Yeah.
I mean, he's clearly got things figured out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's another cool picture.
Oh wow, yeah.
Just an awesome find. That was a rainbow snake we found.
Nice.
All right,
Yeah.
buddy. All right.
Sorry. I'm just scrolling here. I better stop scrolling until y'all see
Throw
some-
up that coral snake picture that Sean was talking about really
I
quick.
got you. I'm gonna pull that up next. I'm gonna take this away so y'all don't see all my pictures.
Yeah, we've seen enough mirror selfies.
All right.
Pics.
Yeah, the feet pics are enough.
All right, here we go. Yeah, I did want to ask you about this and how this one came about.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that one.
What an
that was a very cool western coral snake. That
20 feet from where we are sitting.
yeah, it was just right out next to the house, and I
Wow,
I
really?
found it.
Crazy.
Yeah, I found that guy at about 11:30 at night, and
Really?
he was just cruising around. You see, he's next to that wall. That's part of the house.
Following
Yeah.
the wall, huh?
Flat foundation.
Yeah, it's a slab, and he was going in and out of there, and he chased out a scorpion. He was looking for food, and he chased out a few insects, saw pugid, scorpion. He didn't find any food, but he was about, I would estimate, about 21 inches long.
I
He was
say he almost looks like he's 2 foot long. It looks like a big coral snake.
It is. Yeah,
That's
it's
awesome.
a big guy.
We're gonna zoom in on this a little bit. Hold on, let me get over there. Again.
We all love coral snakes,
Oh,
right?
he's got a discontinuity
yeah.
in stripes too.
That is
How
just
beautiful.
beautiful.
Can't see it.
Nature does it best.
Yeah.
I know that's right.
Yeah, I have. You don't find many coral snakes, but just every once in a while.
They're
and to find
they're
one
so
right at your
phosphorial
house.
and calculated. I feel like they know when to come out and when to not come out.
Yeah, some of my friends were saying that. I'm observing that there seem to be more of them coming out in the very late summer than some other times. So I find that kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Most of the time when I find like a lot of the fossorial snakes out by me, it's late at night during the summer nights, like, you know, midnight, 1-2 o'clock in the morning when it's been really hot during the day, but that time of night drops down into like the low to mid 70s. It just and if you get a little bit of rain, it just really brings those fossorials out.
I've literally caught coral snakes at every period that you can: morning, afternoon, midday, and late at night, dusk. Like those, I feel like those things move when they want to move, or when you hit the right temperature and parameters, they're out there. It don't matter what time of day it is, or if it's nighttime or what.
You know, they definitely out here. Most reptiles really respond to rain.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. for
So
sure.
I don't know. I don't remember if it was. It probably rained within a day or so, but yeah, just like you're saying, Gabe, very late at night, temperatures were in the upper 90s in the day and right around probably 75, 77 at 11:30 at night.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I mean, it's surprisingly hot. Like as far as temperatures go, it's surprisingly similar here to Arizona. Well, humidity's different.
It is
But,
much
like,
different.
much different, but we get a lot of that like summertime heat of like 100 degrees, and then late at night it's cool. So during those months like August, September, it's so hot during the day that almost everything is nocturnal and it's all moving super late at night.
Right, right.
It
Cool.
just gets so hot you kind of get a period of like stillness where you're not finding anything unless you're road cruising at like midnight.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why me and Jack stayed out extra late after you dipped on us that night, Gabe.
I had a long drive, sir.
You did. You did. I didn't stop me and Jack from staying at your place till like 11 o'clock at night. But,
You're better
you know,
friends than me.
that we are. That we are. We're also more serious herpers, but whatever.
Okay, Mister. How many lifers you got left?
That doesn't matter.
Boys,
Okay.
Oh,
boys.
Shaw, I'm gonna tell you something. This man here, he was coming by me to come look for diamondbacks and pine snakes. And I said, be here at 9 o'clock. He said, 9 o'clock? You gonna make me get up early? I said, Gabe, last time me and Jack came and saw you, we were at your house at 7 o'clock in the morning. He is 2.5 hours away from me. Okay. Like I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear nothing. And he still showed up late.
just a little late, just a little bit,
Just a little bit.
Just a tad bit.
just a tad.
Well, have you guys? I have either read or heard somewhere that October is a really good time. At least,
October.
You know,
that was my point. Hogtober.
so
Yes,
here's
sir.
the deal, Sean. I've been putting the work in for Hogtober. I mean, every chance I get, and this has been a really, really shitty Hogtober. But I found a handful of big Easterns. I probably found 5 Easterns this spring.
Wow.
Spring. So early spring was great for me for hog noses, but I haven't found a single one, and I've been putting the work in. I mean, I've been, a couple hours here and there in the right areas, right when the temp's perfect. Like I'm probably gonna go road cruise this Saturday. And
I will say with the hurricanes and stuff, and then out of nowhere it just got weirdly cold for October down here. I think it is a little bit different this year than most years because normally October it's pretty warm. Like most days, you get some cooler evenings, but you're still looking at mid 70s to low 80s during the day. But like this morning, it was 45 degrees here.
It was 45. It was 45, and it's supposed to get down to like 42 Saturday night.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
It's unusually cold here for October.
Yeah,
I've been
it
making
just
jokes. Florida went
just in
from
the last
summer
few
to hurricane
days.
to winter.
Yeah. Yeah, it cooled off here just in the last few days in southern Arizona. The nighttime lows just dipped into the 50s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, we were 58 this morning, so
Yeah.
out of nowhere.
Oh yeah. I will say I wasn't mad about putting on my hoodie this morning though.
I wasn't. I've been waiting for it.
I like my hoodies. I always tell everybody, I'm like, look, like my year has like windows. Like springtime, it's herping and breeding season. Summertime, less herping, hatching
season
and feeding season. Fall time, fall herping, and then prepping for things to go into brumation. Then winter is like my break of like things are in brumation. I don't have as much going on in the snake room. There's no herping, like, okay. And unless it's the occasional warm day and I go see Gabe and go flip some stuff. but that's about the extent of that.
I gotta say this episode is just like every other episode we do with our Western guests. I love it. It's got me hyped up, but I'm really jealous right now, and I'm really antsy because
I'm so
I feel like I'm
dude.
not in the right spot. I feel like I need to be out west right now, and I feel like I got boxes to tick off. So.
Well, we'll go ahead. I tell you what, the three of us need to go ahead and start, planning out our 2025 West trip, and Sean will get up with you and absolutely, hopefully, take you up on that offer to stay in your guest house, because that's got to happen.
Just to
Sounds
get out
like
there.
a plan.
Awesome.
We need to make it happen.
Yeah.
It would be awesome. We would find a lot of rattlesnakes.
So what time of year would you recommend us to come out if we plan this trip, Sean?
For sure, summer monsoon season.
So what months are that?
July,
June.
August, and into September.
Okay.
You never. It's so variable. I mean, let me give you an example. We had a really about, I think it was the third years. Yeah, I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. We had, 2 really good monsoon seasons in a row with quite a bit of rain. One was close to the record for the summer monsoon. It was like 13 point something inches.
Wow.
And the other one was about 10 inches. And this year was kind of mediocre
And
sporadic. But the really good rainy season a few years ago, I found, just to give you an example, I saw 10 Gila monsters that summer.
Wow.
I'd love to see one.
I think I would piss my pants if we found a Gila.
Right.
Not if you're in my car.
Save that for outside, buddy. We're grown-ups around here, Jake.
We forgot to tell you.
All right.
Jake's not quite housebroken yet.
Okay.
Yeah, well, just bring your Depends.
Yeah, we'll bring his diapers.
I'll borrow one of I'll borrow one of Gabe's for that day.
Pull up, sir, because I'm a big kid now.
But August, I mean, July can be really good, but the rainy season usually starts early July. But if it's late, August is usually pretty much the best month. Dark of the moon.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to. So we have Daytona in August, so maybe we'll plan end of July, maybe very early August, and see.
Yeah, that's a real good time.
Yeah, because we have Daytona the third weekend of August. That's our big reptile expo we go to every year. It's our yearly pilgrimage, so that'll
family
try and
reunion.
it's the family reunion. It's a great time. Gabe had his first Daytona experience this year.
They popped my Daytona cherry this year. It was fantastic.
You had a great time. Which, Gabe, are you staying with me and Jack this year?
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna snuggle both of you.
Okay, cool. Hotel's already booked. Sky,
cool.
Obviously, you're invited.
Yeah, I'll let you know, buddy.
Yeah, I know you're up in the air, but
hey,
like pretty much
like Katy Perry said. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag floating through the wind? Yeah, that's your boy.
Yeah,
so
yeah, I've been meaning to let you know. It's like the hotel's booked, so like the
fly by
homies,
night, baby. Fly by night.
If you can stay. You can stay. Gabe, I kind of assumed you'd be in. So.
Oh yeah, no, you made the right assumption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome, man. Well, we're over the 2-hour mark. Sean, do you have any closing words for anybody that's listening? Any advice for somebody looking to get into this thing we call herping?
Or anything you could tell us 3 young bucks to hopefully follow in your footsteps?
Well, you guys already know a ton. I would just say to people who are thinking about or interested, read up as much as you can, and then practice really good ethics. And, if you turn over, anything other than a washing machine, if you're turning over, any rocks or any logs or something, put them right back in the same place. And yeah, just,
Preach.
Yep.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, just really practice good ethics, and in general, take pictures and not animals.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Like every national park says, leave nothing but your footsteps, people, and don't leave your trash. Don't take
That's right.
anything. Leave
There
nothing
you
but your
go.
footsteps and take only the memories.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Well, great words of wisdom. Thank you so much, Sean, for coming on last minute. We cannot thank you enough. This was a fantastic episode. We absolutely loved this. It was a pleasure to have you on.
Well,
And,
it was fun, and it's Jake, Sky. It was great meeting you guys, and good seeing you, Gabe.
It was
Yeah.
good. Hey, it was good seeing you again, Sean, and thank you so much for doing this. I loved this whole episode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
this
it
was
would have been possible without you tonight, Sean.
absolutely.
Well,
Yeah,
thanks a lot, guys. That was fun.
We
Yeah.
say thank you, and it's not enough, but seriously,
Yeah.
we do appreciate you for we know everyone's time is worth money. So 2 hours
Yeah.
out of your time, we greatly appreciate you, your stories, your info. Sick. We can't wait to meet you in person. Like I said,
Yeah.
like Gabe just said, I've been smiles and hype this whole episode. So
I
thank you
love
for
it.
your time.
All right.
So-
Thanks, guys.
Yeah. So with that, I'll hit everybody with our closing remarks, and that is: look and you will see, read and you will learn, think and you will know. And that is from the Rattlesnakes of the United States and Canada. All right.
you.
Good night, everybody.
See you guys.
Night, everybody.